another embarrassment to the world of sports, this time in athletics. Several elite sprinters have tested positive for banned substance less than a month to go before the start of the World Championships. And two of the sport's biggest names, the USA's Tyson Gay, who's one of the fastest men in the world this year, and former world record holder Safa Powell, have failed drug tests. Gay tested positive for an unknown substance, while Powell was among 5 Jamaican athletes to have failed for a banned stimulant. Unconfirmed reports claim that 27-year-old Nestor Carter had also fallen foul of the authorities. If proven, the 3 of the quickest men over 100 metres will miss August's World Championships in Moscow. Jamaica's Sharon Simpson has also revealed that she was caught for doping. Gay and Powell are now the second and third high-profile track stars to be embroiled in a doping scandal in a month. Two-time Olympic 200-metre champion Veronica Campbell-Brown was provisionally suspended in June after testing positive for a banned substance. Well, to talk about this more, we're joined by Kris Lines. He's a senior lecturer at Staffordshire University. Thank you very much for joining us from Birmingham, Kris. Kris, tell us about USADA, how it works, how do other anti-doping agencies work, and why is it that these results come out after these athletes take part in the Games?
Hi. Well, what we need to bear in mind is that there is a framework for anti-doping regulation, and the lead body is WADA, which is the World Anti-Doping Agency. And then they delegate part of their responsibility to either the event organisers or to national anti-doping organisations like USADA. What has happened in this particular occasion is there's 2 different things. So Tyson Gay tested positive for an out-of-competition test, which essentially means that that was a random test and that he wasn't competing at the time, he was only training. The Jamaican sprinters, on the other hand, tested positive following a recent Jamaican, it's the Jamaican Championships in June. And as a result of that, the top sprinters, the top medalists, and also a random selection of athletes would have been tested as a regular occurrence. And it was as part of those tests that the Jamaican sprinters and discus athletes had tested positive.
Right.
So, go on.
Go ahead, go ahead.
So I was going to say there's 2 very different approaches to the testing going on, but they effectively come to the same conclusion, that the samples have tested positive for an adverse violation, in that they have found some substance that shouldn't have been there, that's been prohibited through the WADA list.
Right, so now we know that the A samples have proven that these athletes have been doping. The B sample will be processed shortly, and until it's proven that these athletes are guilty, they're innocent. So isn't this putting an athlete's career at stake, Kris? Maybe these athletes in the B sample, it proves there's nothing there. What happens?
Very much so, and to a certain extent that is why a number of athletes don't declare that they have tested positive for a substance in the A sample, and they wait until the B sample to effectively declare their innocence or so on. On this particular occasion, both Tyson Gay and Safa Powell have suggested that they are aware that there is a substance that's come up, and that they are not necessarily challenging the substance. It's more about how that substance made it into their body. And so in that respect, that's very different from some of the doping scandals of recent years, where people have denied that they've ever taken anything. In this particular instance, it's that if you look at Tyson Gay's statement, is that he said that he was very much let down by somebody, but he's just waiting to see what happens.
Well, what are the implications of scandals like this for sports? After the Lance Armstrong scandal, we were hoping that doping would be banished, but that doesn't happen. This time it won't happen. What's going to happen?
Well, there are a number of issues, and I suppose the biggest one following Lance Armstrong and the fact that these two sprinters very much join a long list of sprinters and fastest men and women on the planet that have tested positive. It very much casts into doubt that it might have been a one-off, and it might be that they were victims of a contaminated supplement, but we don't necessarily know what to believe then. Is that they might have tested positive, they might have been innocent all the way through their career, but it becomes very difficult to believe that now following Lance Armstrong. And then suspicion must be passed around to other athletes that even though they might have tested clean and that there is no positive doping violations, it's always do they not? And very much it is a challenge for athletics to try and become more transparent and to try and restore public confidence in the sport.
Okay, thank you, Kris. That's all the time we have. I'm so sorry I have to cut you off there. Kris Lines, he's a senior lecturer at Staffordshire University, joining us from Birmingham.